Kenya's Gold.
A very, very good evening, viewers, and very many thanks for joining us this Friday right here at Kenya's Gold. And what a week this has been. From Monday, learning that our arid land does have the potential of becoming an agricultural food basket. On Tuesday, we did open up the floor for the macadamia farmers, wakafungua roho, explaining what has been paining them in the macadamia sector. Wednesday, we went back to dope sheep farming, a sheep that is known for its good meat quality. And on Thursday, we did check in on the coffee sector. Now, today being Friday, we're going to have an equally good show. And later on, as you can see, we have several seats. We're going to have some young change makers, including a Guinness World Record holder. All that happening on the show today. So be sure to stick around with us from now all the way until 7 p.m. Very many thanks for joining us. My name is Violeta Ngina. All right, so before we bring in our guests, I know you're already excited to see who I'm talking about. Let us head straight to the agenda of the day. Friday, we do focus on how we can adapt to climate change effects and also how we can achieve sustainability in agriculture. Sustainability coming from the word sustain. So what can we do now as farmers to make sure that we are producing enough food that does meet our current needs without compromising the ability of the future generation to do the same? And it does start from very small things. Let's say you are a tomato farmer. Given that we know tomatoes are heavy feeders, taking in a lot of nitrogen from the soil, it's very important to rotate and break that cycle by growing other crops like legumes after the tomato season, because legumes do fix the nitrogen in the soil, and that helps in saving your soil health. Are we together until there? Great. So for now, let us get straight into a feature where we're going to be learning a lot more on conservation farming through the growing of barley and also mechanization that is happening in the agricultural sector. Take a look.
Kwa majina yetu ndani ya Nzomo kutoka pande ya Makueni. Mimi ni mkulima na nimekuwa nikifanya hii kazi ya ukulima kwa miaka kadhaa. Nilikuwa nalima mbele, nilikuwa nalima kilimo ya ile huko kambani ya kama kawaida. Tunalima na ng'ombe. Lakini hivi karibuni tukafundisha ukulima mwingine inaitwa kilimo hifadhi. Ambayo imetusaidia sana. Kama ukiangalia hapa mimi nasimama, hii machunga yangu vile imezaa iko safi. Na inatokana na huu ukulima ambao tulifundishwa juzi ya kutengenezea mimea kama hivi. Unachimba, hii inaitwa smiling bumps. Unaitengenezea mimea round halfway. Alafu unaweka manure ndani, alafu unaweka mulching pia. Ili wakati ya mvua ikinyesha, tunachota maji na ingia hapa ndani. Ni kama unapanda maji hapa ndani. Ukishamaliza kupanda maji hapa hivi unapanda mimea yote hapa ndani. Hapo ndani unaona miti kama hii. Unaona kuna malenge, kuna hapa kulikuwa na maragwe, mahindi pia tulikuwa tunapanda kando pia. Na via mbazi ukiangalia kando hivi unaona mbazi iko. Kwa hivyo nikiangalia hii ukulima na ile ya zamani naona hii afadhali sana na inatusaidia zaidi. Kwa maana hii ukulima unapanda maji ni kama unapanda mimea. Na ukishapanda hivyo, hii mti inakuwa inatumia maji polepole na inaendelea kusaa. Ukiangalia hii miti na uangalia nyingine kwa hapa chini ambao bado siyatengenezea, kuna tofauti mingi zaidi.
The bumps are very much important for the purpose of holding the water and bringing it closer to the trees, to the fruit trees and all the rest of the trees in the farm. So water harvesting is very important, and just immediately we make some holes for planting the seedlings. We prepare this bump so that we can be able to make sure that the water is accumulated there for the purpose of nurturing the trees and the crops on the farm. The component number 2 is on diversification. We are training the farmers on integrating different types of tree species and also crops in the farm, forming different layers in the farm. So that we formed this kind of different canopies to make sure that the crops in the farm depend on one another in terms of forming a kind of an ecosystem where water is not lost in the soil. They form a shadow just above the rest of the crops and the trees to make sure that after we receive the rains, the water which is banked in the soil, it is available even the rains are, when the rains are over for use by the crops and the trees.
Shambani mwangu napanda vitu kama mahindi, maharagwe, na pia kuna miti ya avocado, paipai, na kuna maembe pia, miti ya miembe na machungwa. Nimetengeneza mitaro na pia nimetengeneza smile bumps. Na pia kuna planting holes ambazo ninachimba, ninaweka mbolea, katika hiyo shimo naweka mbolea, ninaweka jivu na matawi ambayo imekauka, ninachanganya yote pamoja. Na hii smile bump pia naiweka mulching, na pia naiweka mbolea, naweka jivu. Na ile mimea ambayo napanda hapo kwa hii shamba yangu mimea nyingi. Kuna kunde, kuna mahindi, kuna maharagwe, kuna malenge, na kuna pigeon peas, niseme hivyo. Na hata kumtama iko. Na hizo vitu zote zinafanya vizuri kwa ajili ya ile mbolea ambayo nimeweka na maji ambayo nimeipanda kwa mchanga yangu. Hata nikiangalia kwa mashamba ya majirani, ninaona mahindi yao yamekauka, yangu bado ingali tu inaendelea vizuri. Na wakati wadudu waliingia kwa mashamba, hao wadudu ambao walikuwa wanaharibu mahindi, sijui ni kwa ajili ya hii jivu ambayo tunaweka kwa mashimo yetu ama nini, mahindi yangu ni safi, haina hao wadudu. Na pia hii kilimo nimepata mavuno ya kutosha. Sikuwa navuna hiyo mahindi ya kutosha vile nimevuna sasa. Nikiingia kwa shamba nimepata maharagwe, na nimepata malenge. Hata ninauza. Kwa sasa nimeuza malenge 40 na kitu. Nikiwa nauza moja kwa shilingi 400, 300, 350. Kwa hivyo hii kilimo, naweza kusema wakulima wale wengine waingie kwa hii kilimo, wapate kukusanya maji, ndio wapate mavuno ya kutosha. Kwa sababu hii sehemu yetu wakati mwingine inakauka. Na mvua yetu saa nyingine haimalizi sako vizuri. Inanyesha, inafika mahali, inaachia chakula kabla haijakomaa. Lakini nikiangalia sasa, ile maji ambayo kwa mchanga imesaidia kumalizia mahali ambapo mvua ilifika.
In this particular project of regenerative agriculture, we are encouraging them to make sure that they do keep what we call animal integration. The different types of animals, the small and the big, including cattle, including goats, sheep, poultry, rabbit, and all the rest. So every animal has its purpose in this particular project, in this particular model of farming which we are encouraging the farmers to use. For example, like the rabbits are giving urine, a very important biopesticide, which is used to make a concoction for control of broad spectrum pests. The other reason why we are doing diversification of different trees and the crops is to make sure that some of the crops are increasing soil fertility in the soil. They are fixing nitrogen in the soil. And again, when some of them shed, especially the cover crops, they continue adding more organic matter in the soil. And in the long run, you find that the organic matter makes the soil improved in terms of soil fertility. The other essence, the other component is on mulching. And mulching here, we are very much concerned because our soils, after we receive a lot of rains, the moisture on the soil is lost. It's stolen by the very key main thief, which is called the sun. And so the sun, we protect our soils from the direct sun by making sure that we have mulch. We have different types of mulch. We have the dead mulch and we have the live mulch. That is the reason we encourage the farmers to plant cover crops. Cover crops like cowpeas, beans, dolichos, mucuna, and the rest to make sure that the soil is covered permanently. And again, when it's dry season and the farmers have been able to harvest these cover crops, from the cover crops, we encourage them to bring back the residues or to leave residues of the crops in the farm so that the soil is completely covered with the mulch. That again, during the dry season, makes sure that the soils are protected from the loss of moisture. So that is a very important component of making sure that we have permanent soil cover to make sure that that place, that farm of that particular farmer has enough moisture and has a lot of water banked there for use just after the rains are gone.
I also was trained about planting in holes, not just anyhow, but you dig holes. Inside the holes you put manure, and then you plant your seeds there. Once you do that, even if it rains just a little rain, you must harvest something. At least you must harvest something. Then after the training, the second season, which is this one now, I planted maize also. I planted this peas. I planted sweet potatoes. I planted mangoes. I planted avocado. I planted pumpkins. And they have all done very well.
The technology which I want to talk about is a smile bump, which if you look at it, you will see a lot of you will see diverse crops around it, which are planted after we designed it. It has harvested enough water. On the wall of the bump, you will find that we have cowpeas, we have also sunflower. Already we have harvested some beans. We have some cowpeas, we have some maize. So if you look at this design, and also we have some pumpkins which are planted along and some dawn melon around. If you look at this technology keenly, you will find that it's a technology which, if well adapted by farmers, it will give more produce than our normal way of doing farming.
And the good thing about what we harvest in this shamba is we don't use chemicals. We only use manure. And because of the variety of the crops that we grow there, I have noticed that we don't get a lot of insects that affect my crops. Like since I planted, I have never sprayed anything. And they have been doing well. The pumpkins have come up so well that, and they are so big and they are so sweet. The peas are also coming up. The sweet potatoes are also there. If I need to eat, I just dig them. I had also planted, we call this one, Zoroko. We planted those ones. I harvested. We also used them when they were green. So I have seen there is a lot of advantage in this kind of farming.
We normally train our farmers on how to design water harvesting system through different technologies like contours, which harvest the run of water from roadsides, and we train them on how to make smile bumps, which they use to plant different crops around the farm. We also train them on how to do mulching or also planting cover crops to ensure that our moisture is not stolen by sun.
For the water, we are using the mantra of slowing the water to the farm, spreading the water in the farm, sinking the water in the farm, and saving that water in the farm so that it's used long after the rains are gone.
Actually, many farmers believe due to erratic rain patterns, we can't produce enough food for us. But regenerative agriculture has solutions to food security in our area.
We are encouraging not in this place alone, but also the rest of the country and other arid and semi-arid areas to embrace this technology so that you can be able to sustain food security. Very sure this is a critical area where the government is very much focused on addressing, but I can advise that this is one of the ways, a very climate smart method which farmers can be able to use, and very much we are assured of increased production, and that is the reason why you can be able to see high production of this particular farm, despite the rains of only 4 weeks. So I'm encouraging the rest of the country where we've been able to have been experiencing these particular problems to embrace this technology, and really we'll be assured of increased production and other associated multiple benefits.
A fantastic feature right there, teaching us so much about conservation of agriculture and also what we can do to adapt to the climate change effect. So basically, the question that we are also asking is, how can we reduce carbon emissions which contribute to global warming? Remember, a lot of the global warming that is being experienced in the world has been caused by human activities. Carbon dioxide is the main greenhouse gas that has been released from the activities we participate in as humans. Other greenhouse gases that we do have include methane and nitrous oxide as well. And at this particular moment, I want us to have a look at the contribution of carbon emissions that is from various sectors that we all participate in. So if you're talking about agriculture, Sisi Wakulima, this is a show about farmers. We contribute to 26% of the global carbon emissions. The transport sector contributes 15% to the global carbon emissions, and tourism contributes to about 8% of the carbon emissions released annually. Therefore, it is our collective responsibility to figure out how we can help reduce the carbon footprint that is caused by our activities as human beings. Now, despite the fact that these figures can be quite scary looking at what this means for the future, the good news is we do have several young people who are taking matters greening the earth very seriously, and they will be joining us after we come back from this short commercial break that we're about to take. But before we do that, as per the norm, we always do have a farm joke of the day. And the question that we're asking you this Friday as we wrap up the week is, what do you say to greet a farm? Yani ukienda pale shambani, salamu yako ni gani? Please send in your answers and any questions that you do have for young people across all our social media platforms on Instagram at Kenya's Gold. Our SMS line is 22422 and our email is kenyasgold@royalmedia.co.ke. See you after this break.